All right, so welcome everybody. I'm here with Merlin Foreman. And Merlin, if you don't know, is like a huge figure in the community here where I live. And I'm really excited to have her here because to me, she's representing one of the new earth stewards or way showers, and what she's not only embodying in her presence and in her voice and her offerings to the world, but also tangibly in a land that is growing food and inviting people in as a way to interact with each other and offer their gifts. And so before I go any further, I want to share her introduction, and then we'll get into the conversation we want to have today. So Merlin Foreman is a founder educator at High Vibration Farms and Retreats. She's a certified mindfulness meditation teacher, ceremonial cacao medicine facilitator, and self-care Qigong practitioner. Merlin built an open-air temple with the intention to create a place for connection, education, cultural events, ceremonies, gardening, wellness, and mindfulness classes that enhance the well-being of the mind, body, emotions, and spirit. So High Vibration promotes community, connection, and sharing the bounty of the Aina. The weekly farmers market is held every Wednesday from 3 to 6. It is a fun and safe place where people gather to buy, sell, barter, and trade local goods, artisanal products, fresh produce, and healing services. It is a private membership association and a food and wellness network serving the community, which Merlin started in 2021. They also provide educational workshops, seed share, plant medicine classes, tarot and astrology readings, and other healing modalities such as reflexology, chair/table massage, and Qigong. So thank you so much for being here, Merlin.
Thank you.
That's a busy, a lot going on that you're doing and managing and bringing into the world. So like I was saying earlier, I'm excited to have you here and be able to talk a bit about like your inspiration and what your hopes are for the future, and really what I've seen you bring to the community has really been a blessing, not only for me, but for a lot of people, in having a venue, a place to offer our gifts and services, weekly farmers market that feels like really like family. I mean, it's small, but it's intimate, and you offer classes there, which are always a great opportunity. And people can just come and be like, I want to do a class. And you've always been like, really like, yeah, let's do it. And you were a school teacher for a period of time. And I could feel you were one of those school teachers that actually the kids would want to go to school and be like, oh, I like my teacher, mom. And the parents are like, oh, thank God. You know, like my son or daughter wants to go to school, but because you embody that excitement still, and that it feels like the eternal youth. And I think that's what a lot of people resonate. And I definitely was drawn to you. So yeah, I'm curious what you're most excited about right now with all the things you're learning and offering the community.
Whoa, thank you. Thank you for that, Jason. And thank you for inviting me to be in your platform. And I love working with you. Wow. Yeah, that's like when you were reading that intro, I was going, whoa, am I really doing a lot of those things? And the answer is yes. What I'm most excited about right now is really growing food, and growing food and educating people about what's around us and how to process the fruits and vegetables that are not in the mainstream grocery stores. Like someone brought a big jackfruit. So what do you do with that? And how do you, so there are a lot of questions like, how do you know if it's ripe? And I just told them, smell it. So everybody is just smelling, and they're not sure what they're smelling, or I'm not smelling anything. And well, it doesn't smell ripe. So it's still green, right? So the nose knows. So I'm excited about educating people on how to process and how to eat what's already growing around us, instead of, oh, I need to go to the grocery store for potatoes, or I need to go to the grocery store for pesto. Look around and see what greens are growing. You know, pesto doesn't have to be basil, right? It can be mint and some spinach that you can eat raw, and chives, and then you have pesto. Potatoes doesn't have to be the from Idaho. It can be ulu. There's breadfruit and some other forms of starch that we can use. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about growing food and really get to know who those people are in the community, who are the healers, like you, who are the channelers, who are the bakers, who are the soap makers. All those people are around us if we just let them come in, and always not thinking about, oh, I need this, and so I need to go there, and just have an open mind to know that you are taken care of, that everything you need is around you, just like the plant medicine that I'm talking about, that people consider weeds are actually have their purpose.
Yeah. So you're talking about the milder plant medicine, the ones that we
Milder
would use
plant
for
medicine, yes.
healing, and not so much psychedelics, because that's where a lot of people will go, oh, plant medicine, ayahuasca, psilocybin, which is super powerful medicine. But there's also these medicines that existed in every culture that were used to heal the body. For any malady that exists, there's a medicine for in around our surrounding area. So
Absolutely. And as I tune in more to the plants, for example, there was a customer who came and brought some eggs and telling me that she needs something else because her body is feeling like it's she's taking in too much sugar. And so I just said, bitter, you need something bitter. Come to the garden. And so you need moringa, you need katok, you need this. Oh, and then I picked up an orange that just fell, and you need the skin of this orange, and and then you need this. Just stick them in the ground, at your place, and it's gonna grow. And so I gave her other methods of preparing that for what she's wanting for her body. And then she texted me. This just happened. Texted me last week and said, oh my gosh, I need to tell you a story about those bitters. And so I saw her at the market yesterday, and she said, remember I was telling you about this and that, and I just had a doctor's appointment. And so she was getting goosebumps already. And as she was telling me the story, I was also getting goosebumps, because the doctor said, well, you need moringa, you need this, and and she mentioned other things that I had mentioned to her a week prior. And then she's like, oh my gosh, Merlin just told me all those things. And then she actually felt better. She made a smoothie with the moringa, and she felt like, her body just purged and cleansed. And so as we get more in tuned to what's around us and what's growing, and trusting that the plant medicine, because I use those too, I know when my body has, because I love matcha ice cream, and I have some of those things, and I can feel that I love mochi desserts, and and sometimes they're a little too sweet, and then I could feel my body saying, okay, that's a little too much, so you need to balance it with. And then I just go out in the garden and I say, what can I cook today to balance the sugar and the bitter and the salt and the sweet and all of that stuff.
yeah. And I love that too, that you're able to give people the plants too, like just go stick this in the ground. In Hawaii, we're blessed in that way to just, stuff grows. Really, it's hard to kill things here, honestly. But in other parts of the world too, there's more and more of this uprising of the village once again, where there's people that are passionate and know how to grow and do various things. And we can go to those people and not only get what we need, but also get like that connection and that support, and knowing we're not alone, because the medical system is often very loving, kind people in there, but it's busy and it's clinical and it's like white walls, and it's not really conducive necessarily to the whole health of a being. And her doctor sounds amazing because she's recommending moringa as probably a natural path or something. But more and more the mainstream doctors are like shifting gears too. I'm inspired by some of the ones I've met that are bringing up topics like that. I'm like, really? You guys know about that? Or, even like the breath work and stuff too, like just deep, slow breathing to help calm your nervous system rather than, Xanax and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I'm 100% in agreement with you. The Western medicine, has its place for emergency purposes. And so I have nothing against the Western, way of healing people. And so we really have a choice. And so I actually ask, is your doctor a naturopath? And because I was curious, like, how does she know about moringa? And she's not even here in Hawaii, she's on the mainland. And then she said, oh no, she's a regular doctor, but she also has, and a lot of doctors are now going into that field of what else is out there, in the natural world that I can, because they're probably getting more patients like us, right?
Yes, weirdos going in there, and
right?
same with the therapist too, talking about timelines and, multidimensional reality and, plant medicine journeys or just meditation experiences. And
right.
A lot of it's being normalized.
And all of those have their place too, the other types of plant medicine, which I've also partaken in them when I was called to do it, and still waiting for the invitation after I've done some of those other plant medicine. So that, for me, I gained some insights and really helped me too. Everybody has a journey, and plants come to you as soon as I always believe in being invited by the plant medicine, because once it comes in your field, you start that journey. That's when the journey begins. And then you just surrender, and then it shows up and it shows up, and then boom, you're actually experiencing it. So that's been my experience with other types of medicine.
Yeah, because it has its own consciousness, because most of my stuff came through just meditation and experiences since I was a child and things I couldn't explain. And then when I did finally do ayahuasca, I stayed away from psychedelics because my mind was already a mess, and I would have went somewhere I didn't think I probably wouldn't have came back from, or I was just scared. But when I did finally do it, when I cultivated enough of a center inside of me through meditation, I was like, oh, I've had higher experiences meditating, but there was like a wisdom and something I was taught and shown in that experience, working with fear and with the idea that someone can drain energy from me. And it taught me like, oh, I'm the only one putting out negative energy because I think someone's draining my energy. And it's like, let me just bring it back in. And so it was such a valuable lesson. And so when it comes, it has something for us. But I noticed there was another presence besides my connection to spirit. There was something else there, and the container is so important too. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I tell people that's very, very important, knowing your facilitator, knowing where the medicine is sourced, knowing where it's being done, in a safe place, very important. And the protocols before the day of.
Yeah. Even just regular ceremonies like breath work we do, or the cacao, the container, the circle, how the people feel coming in, how we can help them, attune to one another and feel comfortable and safe. And then ultimately lay down with their eyes closed with us moving around them and stuff. It's quite the surrender, So, if the container is strong, people can have powerful journeys without even any kind of plant medicine. But when we bring some in, even the subtler stuff like cacao, it really like shifts that placement, as you know. And I'd love to hear you talk about, your training in the cacao ceremonies. And I know you went to Guatemala, but last time I've done quite a bit of cacao and, at home and then in some ceremonies. And then yours I had last time when we did an event together, just band, I felt not just right here, but like out fully. And I was like, oh my God, this is powerful. I could feel my heart. And so I'd love for you to
Mm,
share a bit about like what it is that helps you not only, it's probably to the source of the cacao, but it's also like the intention and the ceremony. I'm curious how you create such powerful medicine that is subtle.
mm.
People would be like, oh, it's just hot chocolate. And it's like, no, this is something that if you're open to it, you can feel it, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Wow, that's such a, a great experience for you. That's very exciting. It really is, has a lot to do with not so much, of course, where it's grown, we honor all of those things. And it's really how, when you go into ceremony, how open you are to receive. Because we are, as facilitators, we are there to hold space, right? And so people come in because, and we never always, we don't really know who's coming in, but we just know that they're there to receive the medicine because they're open to receive it. And so when you experience that, it's because you were open to receive, you were intending. So it's really about intention when you come to a ceremony. Um, and from my experience, yes, we talk about dosages, and when I went to Guatemala, it's all about intuition. And I when I was served the cacao, I felt the same as you because I was just open and I thought, am I just drinking? Is this, there's nothing else in here. Why am I feeling like I was ready to clear my throat chakra, and I was bending down and just clearing because they opened it up so that you can express what needs to come out. It's because you're open to receive the medicine. Um, yeah, and cacao is grown, all over the world, and we also, I know the source. When I'm sourcing my cacao medicine, I know it's been done with a lot of prayer. Actually, it starts when they're planted. When the trees are being planted, it's the prayer goes into every single plant, and of course the making of it and the process, everything is done by hand. And these hands have a lot of energy, right? So that's why when I'm making my own medicine for the people or just for me, I'm using that power of command. What do I want this medicine? I'm having a cup right now of cacao to do for me. What is it? And then that's what you're going to experience and more. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And like what you're saying about the hands and the energy and the intention and this connection with spirit, with the universe, with God, and how that energy is flowing through us. And people have said everyone's a channel, and then it's a matter of how clear of a channel we are and how much we can open our heart more than the mind and the thoughts that come in that try to like, well, this is what we need to do. And it's such a balance because in order to do a circle, to have a container, there's a certain level of structure and protocol and things that people need just to understand, well, what's coming, what's going on, and then they can surrender and be receptive, knowing that they're going to be held and that there's going to be barriers against the outside world. And how well that happens with the energy work you do with the Qigong, but also the landmass of where you live. Like I felt the ancestral spirits there. I feel like protector spirits. Like there's a lot of like warrior protector energy there, and it feels really good to me. So I'm like, oh yeah, I can let go. That people got my back, physically and energetically. So I don't know if you want to share a little of that because I know that too. We've talked about that before. This the mana and
Mhm.
the ancestral spirits on the land there.
Yes, and honoring the ancestors are really, I think it's a must because when we do these circles, we know that they're behind us, that they're guiding us, and we call on them for their help and for their assistance, or just being with us. And then we surrender, like you said. We go through all the protocols, and then we surrender, and that's when everybody feels just safe, being in a safe place. And it is surrounded by warriors, because again, it's the intention of, why are we here, right? When people come to the island, it's always about coming to somebody's house, right? Introducing yourself. And I know that I learned that from Kahuna, from the plant medicine priest or kahuna that's teaching this La'au Lapa'au. And he would say, introduce yourself. And why are you here? Who are you? Who are you?
I've had that happen when I first moved here. I'd go to an area to be meditating, and I'd hear, who are you? Where are you from? What are you doing here? And I'm just like, whoa, I'm not trying to do nothing. And to me, I didn't understand, but that's like them wanting to know. And that was my opportunity to introduce myself. So I just naturally did it. But at first I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Should I not be here? What's going on? And then I heard that from others, like, that's the protocol. Like, that's what you say. So I love, and it's just common sense, right?
Right. It is common sense. You're not going to go inside somebody's house and open the refrigerator and help yourself with some beer and wine, right?
Well, you know him well, yeah. Like, oh, he's okay.
Right. So that's the protocol, and it's good, again, to educate people about that, because you don't just enter. You ask for permission, and you introduce yourself. Even when you're taking, I think you know that, right? When you're taking plant medicine, you introduce yourself, and what is it that you want from this plant medicine, from this medicine. Yeah. And then, of course, and mahalo it, because you're giving them that power, that mana too. Like, okay, what if you're just drinking it? You're just drinking it. It's the same going to places, right? You feel the energy, and you go, oh, okay, I'm just, and then you start introducing yourself, and then you feel the energy shift, whether you're allowed or not. Then you get it, right? You just kind of walk away or make an offering. And so, so that's what the land, we're in the, of course, palace domain, and we are the caretakers of the land. And every time I make an offering to her, it's the same thing. You introduce yourself. Why are you here? What do you have to offer? And in everything that we do, when I open the market, it's the same. There is always a protocol that people don't see. So everything is energy.
Well, I like that. Like, even if we don't know the protocol or the chant, like in Hawaii, it's really big to know the chant before you go into a certain area. I try to do like a pause. So for people who are like, well, what if I don't want to all do that? It's just like pause as you start to get in the ocean, and just allow the connection, rather than just like, just mindlessly going through the motions. Or even with the food, like, I remember, I don't do it all the time, but when I remember, it's like, oh, I'm going to energize my food before I eat it. And even in my mind, like, I can thank, the beans and the hands that created it. And when I do that, I feel better, and a lot of times I forget, but I remember the first time I started doing that, especially out in public, and I was like, oh, everyone's going to think I'm a weirdo. And now I see other people doing it, all these years later. It's like, oh, more and more people are doing it, because we're all remembering like the connection we have with everything. And it's so powerful to embrace that and not get too caught up, because it can become like annoying, if it goes on too long and it's a big, huge ceremony. But sometimes it's just a quick pause, like, thank you for allowing me to come. Thank you for allowing me to be here, or whatever. I think that's important for those people who are like, what? I don't know all this. I don't know if I want to do all that kind of thing. But
Thank you for that. Yeah, remembering to just take a breath too, like to pause. Like you said, so remembering to do that. Because, when you just shove food in your mouth, right? And then you kind of feel funny, you get, oh, because I didn't pause, it's like just shoving it in my mouth.
Yeah, who ate all that just now? Like, what happened? I didn't even taste it.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So remembering to pause, remembering to just take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, so you're obviously tuned into the subtle energy and the realm of spirit and the ability to connect and feel those communications. And maybe it's not all the time, but I'm sure there's been like salient times. And I'm curious if you want to share with us anything that really came through clearly, where you're like, that was Pele, or that was the wind, or that whatever experience that came through, and you really no longer doubted, whether or not spirit is real and God's real and all that.
Wow. Yeah, we're talking about Pele right now in 2018 when she erupted. That was a long eruption. That's when she covered over 700 homes, right, in Leilani and Kalapana area. And every night there would be a glow. From where I live, it's about 15 miles. And so every night there would be a glow, and it's just glowing. And of course, everybody's just, wow, in awe of that glow. And so and because I make tea blends, and I spend a lot of time creating, when it comes to me, a tea blend or plants that want to work together. My very first one was Aloha Sunshine tea, and that had turmeric and soursop leaves and noni leaves and ginger. So it took me a long time because it has to be a certain color, a certain taste, they all need to blend together, and the benefits, right? Oh, you got to study all of that stuff. So anyway, 2018, she started erupting. Actually, two things I need to share about, this, when the spirit comes. And 2017, I had a Vedic astrology reading, and told the astrologer said, "Oh, Merlin, you're going to create a revolution." It's a revolution. It's like, where? What kind of revolution?
Oh, no.
I know, right? A revolution. Yeah, a revolution in Orchid Land.
Guns and stuff. Like,
I know, what kind of revolution? Well, what you're doing right now? Food revolution. And I didn't know back then what that meant. It's like, what the heck are you talking about? So the market was created. I didn't know. It was just people were isolating. I was like, okay, enough of this. I'm being a rebel. And a revolutionary is like, okay, I'm gonna create this market. And of course, I was not thinking about 2017 about the reading. But after you reflect on it, it's like, oh, that's the revolution that he's talking about. And then we started working with soil and started growing more food. And I called it Food and Soil Revolution. Mm-hmm. So it's still happening. So that was that. And then he said, oh, and you need to study ancient Hawaiian stuff. And I said, what? What does that mean? And then I got invited to, Kumu invited me to join her halau. And I'm going, what? So I was thinking, oh, my granddaughter would love that. I was not thinking about me. It's like, no, it's you. You can come anytime. And so I always ask for 3 signs, because I'm kind of stubborn that way. It's not just, is this a good invitation? But give me signs that this is what I need to do. So someone else was inviting me, another hula brother. And then, of course, Pele erupted. And then I took it as a sign that, okay, I guess I have to go. So I showed up. I showed up at the place, and then there's no one there. And I thought, oh, I didn't tell Kumu, I didn't tell anybody that I was gonna come. I'm just gonna show up. They said Monday night I'll be there. Showed up, and there's no one there. The volcano was still erupting. And so there was just an old beat up truck. And then the energy said, Spirit said, go, leave right now. So I had to leave. And that's the time when they had to block. I mean, they had the National Guards, because you have to show an ID to get through. In Pahoa. And then I found out that they're going to resume in July. And that was 2018, right? She was still erupting. So I showed, again, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell Kumu. I just showed up. And so then I had to tell my story of why I'm there, what I'm doing there. So anyway, so that's the spirit. And then of course she was still flowing. And then one day in the just the glow, I got this message about, why don't you create a tea blend? And I'm going, what tea blend? And so, yeah, the glow, I mean, there's orange and red, and I was looking out. And so I was thinking, okay, what plants want to come? And so at that time I had roselle, cranberry hibiscus, and some olena and ginger. And so I said, okay, I have a little space where I work, and I have all the medicine, dried things, or I can go out in the garden. And when I tune in, the plants might start talking to you. It's like, me, I want to be part of this. And so I made that blend just for me and Pele. And then I had a little labyrinth on the side of the house. It's all covered up now, but I'm going to restore. So I walked the labyrinth. That was late afternoon. And I just had tea with Pele. And so that's how Pele's Glow tea blend was born. So that's a lot of stories.
Oh, that's cool though.
Yeah.
I love that you were guided to the exact formulation inspired by her and your connection. And that was, I remember that, there would be even thunderclouds and lightning storms just by the mountain, or by, where the clouds were. It looked like a mountain or something. It was so, yeah, surreal and intense. Like it took years after that for the nervous systems to calm down, because I could feel the energy of it. I could feel people on edge. And a lot of it was like, what do I do? Like I helped somebody move out of their house and they weren't sure what to take. And they're like, well, if I take everything, does that mean my house is gone? And before she left, like she didn't take everything. She just took what she thought she needed. And their house was spared, luckily. But before she left, she vacuumed. I was like, wow, she's just trying to get a handle on the whole thing, I guess. And but that's what it's like living on this island. Is you're like you're connected to nature, you're connected to spirit, you're connected to people, and it's intense sometimes. And that's why I really appreciate what you're doing to bring the people together. And because sometimes there's like pockets of people here, and we don't always like intermingle and come together, but like the food everyone loves food. So like the food brings the people together, nutritious food. And in a time when during what I call the plague, there wasn't much opportunity to get out and like connect with people. And you facilitated that through this market where people could come get what they needed and not get harassed about their personal choices. And I thought that was really brave. And that's how I found you, or at least the market. I didn't meet you until later, when the community's like, do you know Merlin? They'd come to my breathwork event, like, do you know Merlin? I'm like, no, I got to meet whoever this Merlin person is. That's a great name. And you kind of have that medicine too of, one that's trusted in the community, at least as far as that I see and I know it is. And then, you've lived in Hawaii, like you grew up here, yeah, or you were here quite a while.
Quite a while, yes. Yeah. Yes, so thank you for that. It's really about connection. I think we all need that. I mean, we're all social animals, right? We can't be isolated. And yes, and so that during that time, it was time for me. And I don't know what got into me, but I was invited. I was by a fire in the neighborhood, and we were just talking, and someone mentioned market, and I was already involved with way before that, prior to that, with the Orchid Land community market, way before that. So when someone was mentioning, yeah, we ought to, let's build a market together. And when someone plants an idea in my head and I can feel that excitement, it's like, I got to do so, it's action time. So I just did. And it was scary because for that whole week, and I invited everybody showed up, but then they were telling me, Merlin, there's cops around, and they were watching out. Of course, I was oblivious. I was like, oh, okay. And the week we were doing that for a whole week before we actually became a PMA. And because it was pretty scary, I didn't really, people were coming in and they really want to connect. And so then this lady, Georgia, came and said, hey, have you heard of PMA? And I'm going, oh, what is that? And she explained to me, about what it is and why she worked with a lawyer to do all the paperwork, and that's what's needed here. And I'm going, oh, yes, please. And so after that, I was able to take a breath, and people still came and put me in the corner. And
oh, really?
And they were really nice in my face. And then I was being yelled at on social media. It's like, no masks.
Such a weird time. And then everyone wound up getting sick anyway. It was,
right.
Yeah.
And so I persisted, and like you said, it's a small market, and it has a feeling of family. It's really about connection. It's people that just don't come and shop. It's really about, oh, I'm going to sit down and have some, food, or just talk story. It's a barter sell trade. So, hey, why not, right? Remembering to bring back the times when the ancient ones used to do it. Yeah. I mean, being in a community and helping each other. So yeah, 4 years later, we're still here.
That's awesome. Because you also do the farm to tables, where you show up, you do some connection activities, and then actually go collect the food from the farm, from the garden, and then come back and as a group make it all together. That's totally like childhood classroom type stuff. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, you're like so good at redirecting people too. There's somebody who like had this knife and they were like almost cutting themselves. And you're like, oh, here, dear, let me have you do this over here, where we don't need to do that right now. We're all just cringing watching this person with a knife. Like, oh, I don't know if they know what they're doing with that. But yeah, it was a cool experience. And I don't know how many times, like when I first moved to Hawaii, like 13 years ago, and I'd be like, oh, you can eat this? Or can you eat that? Like this, there's still stuff that I'm shown that like, oh, this is medicine. This is something you can drink. You can make tea out of it. I'm like, really? Like ohia leaf, you can make a tea out of ohia. And I'm like, really? And they're handing it to me. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. It's actually good. So I think that's great that you can have this available where people could come actually see the plant, make something from it, and take some home a lot of times too. And a lot of times it's like, oh, I have that in my yard already. That's what that is. I've been weeding in that. I've been cutting that down, but it's medicine.
Right. I'm so happy that you're open to learning more. It's like, wow. See, it's really about being open, right, to learning new things. And, oh, I can use that. Or is this medicine? That's fantastic. I did a podcast. I was invited to a podcast like, okay, in 5 minutes, explain about farm to table cooking experience. And how did you create it? So I'm going, okay. And it has to be 85% from the land, right? Or locally sourced, because 90% is shipped in Hawaii, right? And so I just wanted to test it. So it became an experiment for me. So I started tracking, I started journaling. It's like, can I really do this? 85%. And I did it for 6 months. And then I said, oh, it can be done. So I was just offering it to my Airbnb guests, and they were pretty happy. And I'm going, oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't even have to create a menu.
Yeah.
It's just all, whatever happens, happens. Whatever is out there is out there. So there's no stress, right? Because let's just pick that, and also educating people. Oh, that's that, and this is the spinach, and we have 4 different kinds of spinach here, and that you don't really see at the stores.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool setup, and it's like guerrilla style too. It's not like totally manicured. It's like stuff intermingles, and it's a lot of fun to explore and find what's there. So I'm curious. We're almost out of time, but how can people we'll get into get in touch with you, but how can you feel more supported in what you're doing, what you're offering? Because like what I was saying is this is like a new Earth hub. I feel like you're one of the people that when like something happened and the boats quit coming into Hawaii or anywhere, or something happened anywhere, like anybody that's watching that's not in Hawaii and wants to create something similar or create more community, what is it you find you needed help with and that you would like assistance with now as you keep moving forward?
Well, thank you for asking that. I really would like to continue to educate people, and my dream really is to have like a group of people on Zoom. I know we're kind of zoomed out, and 3 years ago I was taking classes for 2 years too for that, and every time I mention Zooms, I'm like but that's how we can reach people, from all over the world, is to share knowledge and wisdom about the old ways. I don't know if that's asking for help, but I would like to have a group of people from all over the world and learn from each other, and so that I could also share what's working for me. If you want to start gardening, mindfulness meditation, Qigong classes, all of these can be done on Zoom classes, so to reach more, because I want to create that global ohana, that global family of like-minded people wanting to learn and be more sustainable, create community and connection.
Yeah. So what would be the one thing you would lead with that? What would be the thing that would really pull people in and pull them together?
Yes, well, I know you have your community already, so if that would be something they're interested in attending, I'd like to set that up.
Okay.
And you can also visit. I had a website, but I'm not very technology savvy, so that's something that I could use some help with. Different people help me with different things, and I just could not keep up. When they said, "Okay, it's all set up for you, you just have to do this," and then I didn't do it.
I'd love that too. That would be awesome. I spend most of the time doing that stuff. But people can follow you on Instagram, yeah?
Yes, so Instagram. Facebook. Yes, Facebook and Instagram. So I have actually created 3 different what do you call them? Pages, so Merlin Foreman, HI Vibration Retreats, and HI Vibration Farm. And then there's also, if you want to stay at an Airbnb, High Vibration Hale.
Nice.
So I would love to host people too from all over if they want to come and experience some Qigong and meditation and farm to table and the market. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. So you can get inspiration from Merlin on Instagram or Facebook. And then also, if you're interested in connecting more and collaborating in some way, make sure you reach out to her. In fact, her and I are doing a collaboration this Saturday. We're going to do cacao and galactic breathing. So with the medicine that she'd mentioned earlier that same cacao from Guatemala, and you'll be doing a guided meditation. And my galactic breathing is 3 rounds of breath work that builds in intensity, but there's also sound, channeled messages, energy work, and really creating this nice, tight, harmonious container where we can process and integrate afterwards as well. And Merlin and I did one last January that was really powerful, and I was excited to collaborate again in that way. So that's this Saturday at 4:30, and I'll put
4:30 this Saturday, May 31st.
May 31st. Yep. Final day of the month.
Final day of the month. Yes. So please come and join us. If you live on the Big Island, east side, we would love to have you there.
Yeah, please come join us, Orchid Land. And before we go, what's a good question? What's a good way to end this? How about we get a little weird? Like, yeah, we already kind of talked about this, but I'll be curious if you say a different one. Do you have awarenesses of like other lifetimes in which you've lived? And would you be willing to share like a little bit about that as we're closing this out?
You know, I met a brother. I was at of all places outside, right by Hilo Airport, and that's the time when Protect Mauna Kea was happening. So my kumu invited me, and we were waving tea leaves. You know, protect Mauna Kea, protect Mauna Kea. And so there was a brother there, and I said, and so he introduced himself. And then I told him, I know you. And then he said, so because I said, where did we meet? And he said, I don't know. I just got off the plane.
I just got here.
I just got here. And here we were waving Protect Mauna Kea, right? And so he studied under Kumu Mahealani, and stayed with Kumu, my hula Kumu. And then we were working with another Kumu, and then they were talking. I was driving a car one night. You know, we just came from a training, and they were talking about. And so it was really hot, warm, and it's getting a little dark. And so I turned on the air condition. My car was driving. They were talking about the Galactic Federation. Or some kind of federation.
Not your comment. It's not the usual conversation you hear. Unless you're like us.
Isn't that weird? And my ears started warming up, and I started getting hot, and I had to open the window, and it's like, what are they talking about? So I knew I had that reaction, right? So it must have been, we were all together somewhere in the past life. So anyway, I dropped him off, and then he said, as he was getting out of the car, he said, Merlin, you are from Egypt. And I turned around and I said, well, how do you know that? Actually, no, I didn't say that. I said, yes, and I was a priestess there. And so I asked him if he was there too. And he said, yes, I was actually a pharaoh. So that ended the conversation. and then I met another.
You're like one up to you.
Yeah. So would you call that weird? Because I met another sister, actually was an Airbnb guest who stayed with me for a whole month, who was suffering from panic attacks. We got into a car accident together, and I had her call the police because, you know, we didn't scream or yell, but she was taking my mindfulness meditation classes. And so when we got into an accident, she was so grateful that she didn't hear any screaming. Everybody was mellow. She had to climb out on my side to get out of the door. And then later on, we found out that we were sisters in Egypt. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why we know each other and we keep crossing paths and connecting, because that lifetime I had there as well. And I don't know if you hang out with Pan much either, but like Pan was there. Him and I were both priests back then. And
Okay.
but yeah, I keep meeting people like that. It's so fun to meet soul family. And so thanks for sharing that story and that awareness. And you just feel it, and it comes in dreams, or it'll come in a meditation, or people just randomly you meet will tell you like, oh yeah, I was the captain that, I had this once experience, and then I'll let us go. But I was in Arizona at the time, and I had this dream of drowning. And then the next day I'm like under the boat, like drowning, and I'm watching the boat. And the next day I meet this woman at this like fair or something, and she's talking to me, and we both had a similar kind of necklace on. And then she's like, I know you, and I'm sorry. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, I was the captain that was drunk and wrecked the ship that you drowned in another lifetime. Like, I'm so sorry. I was like, holy crap, I just dreamed about that last night, drowning in the ocean from shipwrecking. So yeah, it's the veil will get thinner and thinner as we go on this journey, and reveal to us all kinds of things, like you were saying about the tea. Like, this is the tea that would be most beneficial. This is the food that would be most helpful. These are the people that are going to be supportive and kind to you in your times of greatest need. And so that's one of the reasons you're here and I'm interviewing you, is not only were we doing an event together, but you're also one of those kind people that really genuinely lives from their heart and wants to make the world a better place. And I want to support that any way I can. So thank you for being that in the world. And thank you for listening to your heart and your weirdo self that we all have.
From weirdo to weirdo, we're both weirdos.
Yes, authentic weirdos.
Celebrate that. Goodness.
Grounded weirdos.
Yes. And thank you, Jason. Thank you for seeing through me and reflecting back. That really means a lot to me, when people can reflect back what I'm doing. And, because sometimes there's a question of, am I doing the right? Should I keep going? Is this even working? Those kinds of, it's evaluation, right? About always evaluating. Being a teacher, it's like, okay, how am I doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So for anybody listening, it's the same. Like, don't give up. Keep living that dream and living that hope. And no matter who's in power or seems to have control or influence over us, it's not real. And to turn off your TV if you need to, and trust that there's a guidance and an energy at work that's going to allow the greatest possible incredible outcome if we can surrender and let go of the fear and of what's going to happen, and trust that we're provided and taken care of.
I love that, and embody that, keep it alive. Everything that you're passionate about, everything that you mentioned at the beginning, like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And I'm going, whoa, because those are all my passions, passionate about this. I want to do this and I want to do that. And then also balancing that with, make it playful, make it weird, make it playful.
Yeah. Have fun with it.
Have fun with it. Yes. Yeah.
So this has been fun. I appreciate you making time, Merlin, and I look forward to seeing you Saturday. And anybody that wants to join us, please reach out. I'll have a link in the description below to how you can contact Merlin if you want to follow her on Instagram or Facebook, and also if you want to join our event this Saturday. So please consider coming. If not, we love you, and have a blessed, amazing day. Aloha.
Yes. Aloha. Ahui ho.
Ahui ho.